Tyrone, do you know what? I'm so sorry. I'm going to sing. You better call Tyrone. Call.
Yeah, I haven't heard that for a while. I haven't heard that for a while. So
Every time I hear the name Tyrone, Erica Badu, man, always comes to mind.
yeah,
Seriously.
yeah.
Tyrone, thank you for coming along onto the Long Story Short podcast. I appreciate your time, okay, and
No
sharing
worries, no
space
worries.
with me. Seriously, do you know what I mean? So let's get into it. Who is Tyrone Reid?
Uh, I don't know, a person that is very I don't know, it's a person that's very multi-dimensional, I would say. I'm not just one thing. Even when people ask me what I do, it's not really one thing I do. I do a few things basically. Some in public, some in the background, some that people don't even know about yet. So is I'm just very open and very multi-dimensional, I would say. That's who I am.
I love that open and multi-dimensional. Do you know what I mean? Because you're sort of like not fixing yourself just to one thing. Like you're not just putting yourself into one box.
Yeah,
Some people say, when you ask, who is that person, they normally put themselves into the box of the job that they do, isn't it?
yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
I
I
love that.
think that's when they have either a goal that they're trying to stick to and a career that they want to stick to, or if they feel like that's the only thing they can do. They don't know anything better. Do you see what I mean? So it's out of one of those two when you normally ask people that they're either looking for a career which they're happy with, or they're stuck in a job that they don't really want to do, but that's what they've learned and that's what they want to do basically, and it's too hard to change and things like this.
I hear you. I hear you. Let's think about like your early years. Where did you grow up?
In Battersea, so I grew in what was it, Kerry Gardens in Battersea, like south west side of London, basically. So
Awesome, awesome. Because I remember we had like initial chat. You know what I mean? You come from a large family. What was your home environment like?
yeah, the three on my mum's side alone, three older sisters, one younger brother. On my dad's side, all my sisters. So I had three older sisters and one older brother in the UK that I knew. And then later on in life, found out I had another sister in Jamaica and loads more like cousins and all this other stuff in America and Jamaica as well from my dad's side. So it was a big mix basically. And then from Kerry Gardens, I moved to like Battersea, which is like main heart of Battersea, which is like Battersea Park Road, Gordon Estate type of area. Um, and just growing up, my family, my mum's side of the family anyway, because I was close, just grew in terms of my sisters having kids, and now my sister's kids has kids and things like this. So yeah, it's expanded massively now.
Excellent. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't come from a large immediate family. So it's so lovely to hear when people say, oh, I come from a large family, got so many siblings or whatever. But what was it like growing up in a large family? What was your experience?
Um, a bit of chaos, a bit of a madness, to be honest. My childhood wasn't that great. Like my birthday's on like Christmas Eve, for example, right? So that's one day before Christmas. So when I was growing up, I didn't have lots of presents. It was always like my nieces or nephews, they had like mountains of presents, and I only had like one, if I was lucky, type of thing, for birthday and Christmas. Or I didn't have anything because there was enough money to go around, see what I mean? So um growing up, there was a lot of like uh what's the word? Not loneliness, but self confidence, self belief in yourself and not letting get things get to you type of thing. Simply because there's a lot of family to go around, a lot of things and stuff like this. So you had to be strong minded, I would say. I think that's the best word to just describe it, basically. Strong minded in what you're doing and how you're doing it, and just feeling the mix of things. And again, when you're dealing with lots of sisters, when you've got three older sisters, There's a lot of drama, man. There's a lot of drama. So you gotta you gotta know what to like to listen, be quiet, to fight back your and fight back your corner and stuff and do everything in it. So it's one of those ones where you just have to like again be strong-minded. So I think me growing up at home, I had to learn to be strong-minded by myself, basically.
When you talked about type of the characteristics and the attitudes that are sort of like made who you are today in terms of your early upbringing and childhood. So if we think about, because you're a multi-entrepreneur, how do you think that those early childhood experiences has sort of like molded you into being the person that you are today?
Um, it kind of made me in a bad or good way. It made me kind of see um what not to do and what to do basically. Like I said, my sisters on both sides of the family, brothers as well, my older brother and stuff, they all got family and things like this. But like I said, I was always with my mum's side of the family, and they had kids. I think I would say they had kids a bit too young. They didn't really have a chance to develop their career or what they wanted to do and stuff. But at the end of the day, family comes first, and they wanted to start with their family. But seeing that, I saw like how they struggled with things and partners and stuff like this, and looking after their kids as a single mom and stuff like this. So I said to myself, that wasn't my life. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to struggle. I didn't want to give my kid half of what I believed um, I could fully give if I had a company and lots of income and all this success and stuff. I'll be able to give a lot more type of thing. Because one thing that I've seen is when you do have kids, and I helped my sisters with their nieces growing up as well and changing nappies and all this other stuff when they were living at the house as well, the family home. You have to give your kid everything basically. So you can't not give 100% to your kid, and you can't not give 100% to your work or what you're trying to achieve. Do you see what I mean? Or it won't develop to what you want it to do. So, in my perspective, anyway, I realized that you have to try and be very successful and then try to have kids. If you try to do it the other way around, it becomes much more harder than it needs to be, basically. And most people don't have that opportunity or time. Even I was talking to my friend recently, and I was just like inviting him and his girlfriend out and stuff. They have a kid or two kids, sorry, and he said straight away, I barely get any social time or time to go out and do stuff because I'm either working or looking after my kids. I can't do nothing about it. Can't change. I can't like it's tough at the moment, basically. So. Yeah, like I said, my mindset was always to, from what I saw growing up, was to basically be successful, have companies, have multiple streams of income or a big income coming in, so I can give my child everything or what I deemed as everything, basically. Because again, growing up with like five, mum with five kids and stuff like this, you the food weren't there all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like there was times where the plate went full. It was half full. Do you know what I mean? Because it is what it is. But yeah, that's my mindset basically.
Um, I'm so glad that you shared that because that is helps with your drive and your ambition, isn't it? Because when you were talking about when we had our one-to-one earlier, and you were sharing about your football career, I want us to explore that type of thing and how you pivoted into IT.
Before I first ever touched the ball when I was 15. So before then, I did athletics. I did 100 meter, 75 meters, sprinting and 75-meter hurdles. I ran for my college at the time, South Hills College. Was it South Hills? I can't even remember what college I went to. Basically, I ran for my college. I ran for London as well. I went to England AA schools for athletics. Raised, joined chambers at the age of 15. I went to it was like a athletics 2 week community type of get together where you get lots of athletes from around the whole of the UK together to train and see how it is to be an athlete and stuff. I think I got 11.1 when I was 15 in that race as well. So yeah, it was very, very good. But then I realized there was no money in it. So I then switched to football because a lot of my friends was into football. And because of I did athletics and had lots of stamina. I was very good running up and down, but my touches weren't there. So I used to train like crazy, like maybe because there was a literal football pen outside where I lived. I'll be like there like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., kicking the ball, trying to practice my craft and stuff. Managed to get into semi-pro clubs and stuff, and managed to speak to a few people to see if I could get trials. And I was very driven, like my whole mindset driven was switched from athletics to football, and it was just every day jogging around the whole of 𝗪𝗁𝘁 Park by myself in the rain, um, like eating the right food because I did sports and exercise science as a degree, so I knew which food to eat to bulk up myself or maintain strength and like eat pasta before the jog, for example, to give you more energy and stuff. But then probably like 15, 16 years ago now. I snapped my Achilles tendon, and that's basically the back of your ankle, basically. It's that long little thin bit at the back of your ankle. And at the time, again, I was going for trials, and I was just playing football in Wandsworth with a few friends just to keep up my strength and the fitness and stuff. And all I heard was a pop, like a big, massive bang noise. And I thought someone kicked me. So I turned around to see someone, and no one was there, basically. And I thought it was like a bone or something because that's the only thing that could pop in my head. And so I took my trainers, no, well, my boots at the time, moved my feet around, it was fine. But when I got up to move, my body moved, but my foot stayed the same, and it just went 180 degrees sideways. So that was the end of that, basically. I couldn't do anything. Um, the NHS was just bad because when you have injury like that, you're supposed to get surgery within the first 48 hours. It happened on a Thursday, and then I only saw the doctor for the medical doctor for a lookup and understanding what needs to get done on Tuesday. So by then, the two parts of the muscle was already healed. It basically torn like this, and it was already trying to heal like this, basically. So my foot was like that, and so the two muscles was already trying to heal. And then the doctor asked me, "Do you want to get surgery or just heal it by itself?" If you heal it, if you try to get surgery, you would have to cut the healing process and then put it back together properly. So it wouldn't make sense. So literally, my career was over, done, finished. I couldn't walk for another what, 6, 7 months. Couldn't run for another year. Things like this. I did my degrees in sports and exercise science. I went to Brighton Football Club, Reading Football Club, got to even Crystal Palace Football Club, got to the final stages thinking, yeah, I'll become a sports scientist, I'll stay in the realm of football. And then I got told after passing my degree, after doing over 4,000 of athletics and football coaching, after being a sports ambassador for my university, which is South Bank London University. I got a UKCA accreditation, which is UK Strength and Conditioning Award, which basically means you can train strength and conditioning towards to professional athletes. I had that, and you had a badge and everything like this. Um, I went to these interviews, got to the final stage, and then they said, yeah, it's 1 or 2 years worth of free work experience. And I had to also pay for my travel to different games and stuff. I was just like, what's the point? And I actually came there with my crutches and everything. And I was just like, you could have just told me this over the phone. Like, why didn't you say it wasn't a proper job? Because they didn't say it was a free work experience. I went for a job interview. So it was very disheartening. I was very depressed, couldn't run and walk properly and things like this. So I didn't know what to do. I thought I was just gonna be a bum or like one of a lot of like growing up where I lived. And people would probably know in like we went to Southfields Community College. That area and that college was very very dangerous, put it that way. Lots of gangs and like 90, 80% of my friends were in some sort of gang or affiliated to some gang or something like this. And there was always some madness going around that college as well. Every Friday, it felt like a police station. You saw more vans, cars, people on horses, police everywhere, basically. Every Friday was a bit of madness. And so I just thought, if I'm not in sport, I'm just going to end up on the street, basically, just going to be doing drugs or something dodginess or something like this, basically. But luckily, one of my friends who finished a computer science degree, he said, Tyrone, you're a smart guy. Why don't you just learn web development? And I was like, what's web development? What's this cold HTML thing? What's that? I never studied this. And he said, oh, it's free. It's a free website. Here's the link. Just do it. And I said, Ram, just leave me alone in it. What are you showing me this for? So he must have got a job for like 28,000. And I was like, oh, it's nothing in it. It's 28,000. It's nice, but it's nothing in it. And maybe like 3 months later, I went to watch him play football. And I was like, how's your job going? He's like, yeah, I left it. I'm got another job. And I was like, why? He's like, yeah, I'm on 40K now. And I was like, really? 40K? He's like, yeah, don't worry. That's how it is, isn't it? So I said, okay, cool. Show me the link. Show me the link. Where's that link again? And let me just see if I can learn it. And then literally 2 months later, he said, yeah, do you know I had that interview? I'm gonna be getting another job next month, starting 80K. I said, fam, what's that link again? Because I didn't really comprehend. I said, I looked at the link, but I just saw the web page. I didn't actually do anything. As soon as he earned like 80K, I was like, okay, cool. Let me learn it basically. So I learned web development from the free website and also a YouTube channel. He learned in like 4 years in uni. I learned in 6 months basically. So I then learned more backend stuff like C++ and Java, which is more complicated. Learned that in 5 months. And then I got a job in IT, which was a Salesforce startup called 𝗪𝗁𝗁. And 45 other candidates bought their degree paper. I bought my laptop and I showed them that I developed a website by myself and a mortgage Java application. And they just said, yeah, you're hired. So that's how I started to get into IT. And then I became a senior developer 6 months into the job, got headhunted by 3 platinum companies. 6 months later, I went to the platinum company called 𝗪𝗵𝘁, and I was there for a year. And then after the year, someone said, Tyrone, you're so good. Why are you working for a company? And I said, what do you mean? He said, you should have your own company. I was like, I don't know how to do that. I'm just working in it. I'm new because that was my second year into IT. So I was like, I'm new. I just work. I just want to learn things like this. And he said, no, no, what you do, because at the time I live in London, but I was traveling to Italy every day for Monday to Friday to develop 𝗪𝗁𝗂𝗧 platform CRM system, basically, which is Salesforce. So I was classed as a technical lead on that particular project, one position below a technical architect, which is the highest level, basically. And on that particular project, there was Accenture, Deloitte, and Velocity. And I was basically heading up the technical arc, like helping the technical architects do the whole architecture and also doing the development as well. And so the guy who was a technical architect on that project said, Tyrone, you should do contracting. And at that time, I didn't know what a contractor was. I said freelance. He said, no, a contractor is this, freelancer is this. 2 months later, I told the company that I was leaving, started my own company, and then it goes on from there, basically. That's a nutshell how I started from sports and then transferred into IT, then started my own company, basically.
You started your own company, and I've got it here, CEO and founder, technical
Yeah,
and solution architect, senior
yeah,
Salesforce developer at Software Everything Limited. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
A round of applause. I'll be doing that throughout because I was smiling, my eyes were widening. I was like, wow, it's so inspirational, but also it's lovely to hear how you have pivoted from sports to IT. What mindset changes did you have to make in order to do that?
There was a few. So the first one I would say was when you play sport or play football, I don't know, I would say 70% of the players that play football play it because they want to show their skill and better themselves, basically. So I was very competitive. And then when I went into IT, again, I was junior, right? I learned by myself. I didn't have teacher teaching me, so I felt I was behind. And when I do something, I wanted to do it to the best of my ability and be the best. So I thought all these guys that's been there for 10 years, 5 years, whatever, I had to learn more. So when they were working, I was working even like 10 times harder. When they were eating, I was still working. When they were sleeping, I was still studying and working. So it was just a point where I thought I had to catch up. And so I was always trying to not compete against them, but compete against myself. I always wanted to um, in the word of sports, train, right? But in the word of IT, learn something new every day, basically, and improve myself, basically. So I could match. I felt I was again behind, so I felt I had to match up to their standard. But what I realized was these people that were there 5, 10 years, they were happy with their salary and didn't really want to learn too much. So it was making me stand out more than what I believe I was doing because easily they could have done it as well. But it's just the fact that I had this competitive mindset against myself to improve myself. I I drove myself to a point where most people in their career would take 5 years to do. I did it in a space of 2 years, basically. Um, and I was able to do it because I have that mindset to compete and improve and progress against yourself rather than compete against someone else. Um, I realized that when you compete against someone else, it limits your ability. Because if you compete, say for example, when I started off, I was on in IT, I was on 21K, and I knew people that was 50K, and I said if you were to compete against that person, I would surpass that person in 2 years straight away. And that's not normal, right? But I did that. And if I were to say, okay, I got that, what do I do now? It sometimes confuses people. And that's where you then get comfortable and say, do you know what? I've reached that goal. I don't need to improve myself anymore, etc., etc. But my mindset was never like that. It was always, okay, I reached the goal. What's the next one? I reached this goal. What's the next one? So it was always about improving myself and not limiting myself to anything, basically. And that opened opportunities to not just IT, but all my other companies and ventures that I did.
I love what you said there with regards to if you compare yourself against others, you will be limited. And I think that's so important so that we don't go through life comparing ourselves to others, but we should be really competing against ourselves, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
as we're wrapping up, what do you think are the key takeaways that you want people to remember about your long story short?
Um, my long term, I think don't there's a lot of if you look at my story from what I said, the only reason why I'm in IT is because I snapped my Achilles tendon. And at that time, all I knew was sports. So I felt it was like God didn't like me, like everything was gonna go bad. I didn't know what to do. But it now shows that I had to snap my leg for me to physically stop playing football because that's the only thing that could do that basically. And but the things I learned from football, which was the competitiveness, the mindset of progressing yourself and try to compete against yourself rather than other people, I managed to transfer those skill set and those features into IT, and then it progressed me basically. So I would say that when bad things happen, sometimes you might not know what or why it's happened, or you might feel bad or sad about it. But just know there might be another journey for you that can make you or put you into a better position. But you shouldn't change who you are. You should keep on developing what you have and what you believe makes you you and to your new environment. And the best quote I would say about that is my ability, my asset, my drive was good, but it was in the wrong place. And I'll give you the best scenario about that or talk about that was a bottle of water. I think 50 Cent said this. You can buy a bottle of water in a local shop. It will cost you £1. You buy that same bottle of water in Morrison's or Waitrose, it'll cost you £1.50. You go to an airport, it will cost you £3. You go onto a flight, it's going to cost you £5. It's the same water, but it's just in a different location. So sometimes you need to put all your belief, your hard work, and just in a different location, maybe a different industry to get your just rewards, basically.
Whoa, I'm never going to look at a bottle of water the same ever again, based on what you said there, Tyrone. I am so grateful to hear and also to spend time with you listening about what your inspirational journey is into IT, but not only that, but your entrepreneur life as well. So thank you so much for sharing your journey. I'm sure we're going to be doing a part two and,
Yeah.
coming along onto the Long Story Short podcast.
Thank you, thank you. I might have made it a bit too long, but hope everyone got the gist of it, basically.